Just going live on Instagram quick. Cool. Great. My name is Marcus Stavro, also known as the Gen Z Guy, and we're back with another episode of Gen Z 360, where we're talking to leaders about the future of work, where the world's going, technology, and of course, Generation Z. Today, I'm very privileged. They say, you know, when someone's done well in business, it's because you can't find them online. And I think that applies to Mark Collie, because it's nothing frustrating for me in seeing all these youngsters who got this big social media following and no substance and business behind it. And so I'm very privileged to be here with an incredible entrepreneur and leader and someone innovating in the travel industry and applying a great solution to a big Gen Z audience. So Mark, welcome.
Thanks very much for having me and those kind words.
Cool. So give us some context. You're a mystery online. You're a mystery to a lot of people. I struggled to find a bio. Tell us, give us a bit of history around who you are, what you've built, and where you are today.
I wouldn't say I understand the online world, but I'm not that active on it. From my side, I've been in many businesses for over many years, starting from outdoor advertising to print and media. And then getting back into really what I'm passionate and love, which is technology and mobile, and building out mobile businesses and scaling those businesses from ground up and exiting some of those businesses. And today I'm in a business I'm very excited about, which is eSIMS for the travel industry, it's a game-changing ability to travel abroad and to be connected all the time, as opposed to search for a Wi-Fi spot or a local mobile operator and then hope you can top up. So, very excited in the technology space, and I'm very passionate about that. It's my full-time focus.
And tell us about the problem that you identified, and then in terms of why you decided to take over the business, in terms of that.
So I think I think that the problem has always been obvious, is that when you go overseas, you want to land connected. You want to be able to arrive and check your emails, send a WhatsApp to your loved ones, and call an Uber. And it's actually a daunting fear when you leave. I've always just think like, okay, when I land, how am I going to find a mobile SIM? Because international roaming just simply wasn't an option. The pricing is exorbitant, I think, for pretty much 99.9% of the population. Even the 0.1% that do roam internationally is normally on a company's account, and the bills are frightening. And the reality is that a SIM card doesn't need to be a physical SIM card. It can be a digital SIM card delivered over there. You can buy a package for a specific country before you travel, so you can land connected knowing how much data you have available. And the first time I used an eSIM, it was in 2000, just before COVID. I was traveled to New York and I got an eSIM, and it was like that aha moment that you feel when you call an Uber for the first time or do online shopping. It's game changing. It's life changing for an international travel. And I thought I've got to get into the space. It's a space I want to be in, and it's been a great journey.
Absolutely. I mean, I can remember. I travel normally overseas at least twice a year, and there's nothing more frustrating than the SIM card management, right? You're keeping it in a little packet, and then you got to use like a little pin to open it, and then to find a pin. And then you got to go to a store. The steps, as a Gen Z person who wants instant gratification and no patience and doesn't want human touch, it's like the perfect solution. Did you perhaps where was the first time you saw it? When you traveled, like, was there a solution, or how did you come across it, the technology?
So I traveled to New York in 2021. Or 2020, and I had been, KnowRoaming has been an innovator in the space in terms of originally using a sticker technology, and a very close friend of mine, Greg Gundelfinger, who was actually, who was in the space of travel eSIMs, was playing with a specific technology. He was actually the founder of KnowRoaming, and he's become the biggest wholesaler of eSIMs globally now, and we purchased the business from him because he doesn't want to be in the consumer space. He gave me an eSIM when I landed in New York, and it was just amazing experience. And also, when I used to travel overseas, I used to sometimes actually even take the risk of turning on my data roaming for a minute if I needed to do a Google Maps or find a specific location. And then I used to fear when I got home to check the roaming bill how much I would actually spend. But yeah, I mean, it's for a Gen Z who's grown up having data always at their fingertips and being reliant on it, to be able to communicate and to find maps and to find locations. I mean, it's an absolute must. I mean, my generation, we could survive without it, but I think for Gen Zs, it's a must to be able to connect it on high-speed data all the time, without limits in terms of how much you can download and use. Yeah, but I think it is anyone who uses it, and that's been the best experience. Anyone who and a lot of people don't even realize it's an option, but anytime you suggest use or people try it, they come back with glowing reviews. It's everyone loves it, which is it's a fantastic service to offer and industry to be in.
What excites me about the technology is, technology like this, and then you look at what Elon Musk's doing with this, with giving access through the satellites. And like from a South African, that just is a great depiction of globalization and what it means to be able to do business globally and not being limited by being in Africa. So I think I'm just excited about that.
I mean, Elon's obviously, he's an absolute legend, and what he's accomplished in all his different businesses is incredible. I think what's amazing about Starlink is it works better in the rural outlying areas where there's no density. So yes, it gives you coverage globally. It provided you the approvals in place, but there'll always be a requirement for the mobile operators, because when there's density, actually Starlink doesn't work so well. Yeah. So it's a great product to have, but I think what he's providing is connectivity, and connectivity is key to so many aspects of life and business this day. Not just from personal, but from business and from industry and even IoT space this day. Connectivity to devices is exploding.
Definitely. And we'll chat more about travel and safety and what it does, but I want to read these few stats and then get your thoughts on it. So around 80% of Gen Z travelers use their smartphones to research and book travel. Nearly 1 in 4 Gen Zers and millennials who have taken a pop culture trip visited a location they saw in a viral social media post. And Gen Z are frequent travelers, making an average of 3 leisure trips every year. With Gen Z being more globally connected than any other previous generation, what role do you think this technology and connectivity will play in their travel habits?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Gen Z is the perfect target market. They're technology very savvy, they're heavy data users, and they want to travel and explore the world and see experiences, and they're socially active. So they see the experiences and they want to follow those experiences, and it's easy for us to actually market to those Gen Z travelers. And like I said before, I don't think Gen Z travelers can survive without data. So it's almost critical for them to have connectivity upon landing, and actually generating their own content. So I think the big element of Gen Z these days is they are content creators, and being able to share that content as you create it, I mean, is key to one of their successful things. So Gen Zs are definitely going to change the world, create the content, and we hope to be able to provide them with the connectivity to do that.
Yeah. And, when I speak to organizations about Gen Z and we talk about generational defining moments, one of them is them growing up with the internet and 2007 when the first Apple smartphone was launched. It's just like it comes so naturally to them. And when I was setting this all up, I had to do it for my mom because she was like freaking out, like, what is an eSIM? How do I do it? Following the steps was too complicated. So it's quite interesting to see. As simple as it is, you still ask people, what is an eSIM? And many people don't know. So maybe in clear, just like as simply as put it, like, what is an eSIM and how does it exactly work for people?
So just to bring you back to that interesting point, when Apple launched their iPhone in 2007, Steve Jobs didn't want to launch it with a SIM card. His view was that basically a SIM card actually wasn't needed. It's credentials, and those credentials can be delivered over the air as opposed to a piece of plastic in a device. So the iPhone 1, and they had actually already started doing patents on it, and they were designing it and building it. They were going to launch the iPhone 1 without a physical SIM card. And all the European operators banded together and basically told Apple at that time that if they didn't actually put a physical SIM card in the device, they wouldn't distribute it. And that just shows you the power of the mobile operators then compared to Apple, and how the power shift has changed. And really why mobile operators want physical SIM cards is because their business, one of their main aspects of their business is putting the physical SIM card in the device. It's not needed. So, the eSIM today is basically taking your credentials to be able to connect to a network and sending those credentials over the air into the device. So it's exactly like a physical SIM card in terms of credentials, except that you don't need to go to a store and actually buy a SIM card and swap the SIM card out. We can actually send you those credentials over the air. And more importantly, the devices, Apple has had eSIMs in their devices since the Apple X, which is probably about 7 or 8 years old, but it allows the phone to have 2 SIM cards. So you can have one physical SIM card where you keep your physical SIM card in, so you can receive your phone calls and your SMSs, your OTPs from your main provider. And then you can install your digital SIM card with a package you've pre-purchased with a data plan into your second SIM card, and have them both running at the same time and getting your data on your digital SIM card. So it's a seamless experience where you can continue to receive calls, have your OTPs, have high-speed data, and be able to track how much high-speed data you're using and top up that high-speed data as you need to.
Brilliant. And I think one of the things to just highlight there, what you've mentioned, is it's already installed in the device. So nothing, no extra components, no special requirements. It's there to be activated. And I found that so brilliant. And then the second part of that is that you can have multiple eSIMs basically active. Because what happens is you also don't want to go to Spain, activate it, and then now have to do a separate process once you get into South Africa. So what I found brilliant is I can go to Cyprus for a week, activate it, go to London, activate another again, come to back to South Africa. As soon as I land, activate.
Correct. I mean, it's very simple, very easy. Once you've done it once, you know what to do in the future. We provide an app that provides you real-time data of how much data you're using, one click to top up. And we're also trying to make the journey and the use of eSIMs much simpler from the customer perspective in terms of providing global packages, global eSIMs at really affordable prices. I mean, the cost is so insignificant when you compare it to the cost of travel. I mean, what I find very interesting is when I'm traveling on my eSIMs, I actually use a lot more data than I actually do when I'm in South Africa. And that's because I don't even look for a Wi-Fi to log on to, because it's unnecessary. And it's so easy and so affordable and so cheap. It's just stay on the eSIM and top up as I need to. It's truly a game changer for international travel.
Just maybe share exactly, I don't know if you have the number of hand around the pricing. What is the comparison in percentage versus using an eSIM versus a normal? Do you have that number?
Listen, when you compare using an eSIM, I mean, the pricing is very competitive. We're talking a couple of dollars per gig, and you take bigger packages, even less than that. And when you compare that to your actual roaming bill, I mean, it's a fraction of the cost of what it will charge you to roam. Even if your provider provides you with a roaming option, which is more affordable, we are still much cheaper because of the way we structure our packages. I mean, there is an element of always saying that you could land and you could go get a SIM card from a mobile operator, which might be slightly cheaper than our offering, and sometimes not even that much cheaper than our offering. But the problem that you have is not just getting the SIM card, the time period to register the SIM card, activate, put the SIM card in, is that you actually, when it comes up to, if you run out of data, it's complicated to top the SIM card up. So it's a no-brainer. It doesn't matter if you've got roaming options with your current provider, or they're local operators you can get when you land. Just using an eSIM provider for travel and for having the app on your phone to monitor and top up it's simple and cost effective.
Brilliant. So just at this point of time, if you do have any questions for Mark, please do comment them, and I would love to get Mark to answer them, whether it's around eSIMs, around global travel, the future of work and leadership. Please share them to ask Mark. Mark, in terms of speaking around like you're traveling all around the world, getting access to the best research leaders who are on the forefront of industries. What is your view when it comes to like AI and blockchain and crypto? Are you pro these technologies, and where do you see them going?
Yeah, I'm very pro those technologies. The reality is that technology is going to change everything, and those are two technologies, AI and blockchain, are definitely going to do a lot in terms of the travel industry. I think from an AI perspective, we're already seeing it in a lot of the travel bots or support bots when you integrate, when you're engaging. But I mean, even planning your trip now, you can go into ChatGPT. You can say, I'm in Paris for 3 days. Give me an itinerary. It gives you a detailed itinerary. I think all basically apps are going to start. It's only a matter of time until the apps are engaging with agents, where you just talk to an agent to book your travel, your flights, your accommodation, and they'll know exactly what your preferences are, where you want to stay, or how you want to travel, and will automatically make those bookings and changes for you. They'll be able to update you on any changes. There's no doubt, and it's not a long period of time. It's going to, it might seem, but it's already happening. In a period of anything from 6 to 18 to 24 months, travel is going to be totally changed using AI agents to coordinate. Then obviously in terms of blockchain, that gives you.
So before you move on, do you want to maybe
Sure.
just touch on the AI agents in terms of travel? I think that's a really unique point. Maybe do you have anything specific you can share around that?
So I suppose it's almost like you have all these apps that you currently engage with, Booking.com, your flight apps, and what will happen is you'll have one agent that will engage with all those apps. So you will say, I want to basically travel to London next week. Please make all the bookings. Now the AI agent will know you in terms of your preferences, in terms of how you want to travel and where you want to travel, and that AI agent will then basically engage with all the third-party applications, the airlines, the hotels, the transfers, even eventually, even the eSIMs, and coordinate everything so that basically it's up to your standards, and manage those bookings and manage any changes as needed. Almost like having your personal assistant. If you have a personal assistant to do all your travel affairs, I actually do everything myself because I like to. There's certain preferences I have, but I think the AI agent will know you so well they'll manage to get all those preferences correct. Whether you want to stay in a certain area or a certain room, how you want to fly, what seat you want to sit in. Those things will be automated, seamlessly using AI and AI agents. I mean, currently, I think most in terms of support centers, when you phone in, that's coming rather soon. So currently, you can engage with, say, a bot on a website, but that bot is now being powered by AI, and soon the call centers themselves are going to be powered by voice AI. That you will phone up an agent, and that agent you'll think you're talking to a person, but that person will have direct access to all your details, be able to make all the changes. It's months, not years away.
Absolutely. I mean, I recently spoke at a property conference, and that was one of the things that I spoke about, how I believe these call centers are going to be the first to be disrupted when it comes to AI, because no one likes to speak to a call agent, especially in South Africa when you can't even hear, the lines are so bad. So are there any currently live that people can use, or are you saying that it's going to come in the next few years?
No, I think the reality is there's definitely bots that are being supported by AI, and there's definitely call centers that are being supported by AI. I mean, there's case studies of Canva, which have reduced, I think, 90% of their call center staff, and their resolution times and accuracy are higher than their standard call center staffs, and that's currently being rolled out at present. So I think with the next, I mean, it is unfortunately, it will create a loss of jobs in the call center sector, which unfortunately, South Africa has a lot of that, but the reality will create job opportunities in other areas. There's definitely, I can't speak offhand which ones are, but there's use cases in the travel sector that AI are basically managing those interactions.
Brilliant. And then just speaking around, again, coming back to Gen Z, we know that sustainability is such an important factor for them, in part because of the exposure to climate change and what's happening across the world. So, unlike, normal eSIMs, normal SIMs, eSIMs reduce physical waste. And, how do you think that is relevant in today's world? And, maybe just share around about the sustainability around eSIMs.
So being digital, there is no waste product, and it's not just the SIM card that's basically waste, and it's the packaging that goes with it. So, I mean, the amount of packaging and SIM cards that are thrown away, I mean, I think South Africa is one of the use cases where we go through, millions of churned SIM cards a month. So it creates a huge amount of waste, and the actual cost to produce and manufacture is expensive. It's some of the material is, it's not just normal plastic. There's metals and components. So definitely eSIM is going to reduce a significant amount of waste. But also, even in the device itself, the actual eSIM slot itself takes up unnecessary space. So the device itself, that's why Steve Jobs wanted to eliminate it, because he thought, why take up the space for the SIM card with the SIM card holder when you could actually use the space more productively for battery or for memory. So there's a definite benefit there.
And I'm sure in the next few versions of the Apple, they're going to eventually remove the whole SIM part altogether, right?
In the US, you can't get an Apple with a physical SIM card. It's only eSIM. Wow. So it's actually a lot of fun. A lot of people have actually gone to the US to buy the latest iPhone and then come back to South Africa and realize that, now I suppose it is supported, but there are markets that it's not supported, is that they actually have to get an eSIM for the device. So it is a matter of, I think, over 50% of devices coming out now are eSIM enabled. And that's on the high, surely 100% of the high-end devices. And it's a matter of 3 to 5 years until a majority of devices are eSIM. There'll always be legacy, and there'll be a requirement to cater for it, but physical SIM cards won't be around in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years.
Brilliant. And what advice would you give to a smart-driven college student about to enter the real world? And what advice should maybe they ignore?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that, in terms of advice, is they should always be curious and willing to learn and explore. And I think in today's world with AI, you can have two views. One, that it's that you're going to avoid it and try swim outside of it, or you're going to embrace it and use it as an enablement tool. There's obviously a lot of talk of taking jobs away, but you can also look at it as a way to actually enhance your performance and make yourself a better performer. And my advice would be to look at AI as a tool, to improve your productivity and your scalability as an individual. And if you look back in the day when calculators came out, everyone thought, okay, that's the end of the days of bank tellers, because that's what they were doing, was counting money. But what it allowed bank tellers to do was to basically focus on more relationship management, corporate structures, to change the whole banking sector in terms of creating a lot more job opportunity. So, there's a lot of mundane work that you'd prefer not to do, and you prefer to focus maybe on crafting a solution. So I would definitely take that into account. And the one thing I think where everyone used to think about, content, the social influencers, content creating and social influencing is becoming a very important part of life today. And it's actually, I think everyone's realizing it can be a very successful career and very meaningful in many instances. So I would look to where the puck is going and not focus where the puck was, and try to take advantage of that.
Well, I'm glad when you did realize it's important, I was the first person that got that privilege. So I can claim that. But in terms of specifically, one of the biggest questions I get from parents, just genuinely about the future of work and life, is what do my kids study and what's going to be relevant and what skills is the market? Because my company works with a lot of graduate programs, and so I'm working with managers looking at young people coming in. Are there specific degrees or experiences that you think that you are telling your children or that parents should be thinking about?
Sure, it's a hard one, because the reality is, no one ever thought that computers would be able to take on the a lot of the skilled side of work. The reality today is lawyers, accountants, actuaries, doctors are going to be affected by AI. So I think every industry will still have a place for a person, but as long as they're making use of AI to actually be more efficient in that space. But it's a hard one to predict where the future is. Like an item that we're talking about, say, travel, in terms of maybe the booking and the call centers and being disrupted. But what that will do is it will create more people traveling, will reduce the cost of travel, create more people traveling, and then there'll be more opportunity for people providing the hospitality on the ground, and actually providing the actual experience. So
Yeah.
there's definitely going to be a major shift. There's going to be, if you look at it with a growth mindset, there's going to be more opportunity than loss of opportunity. You just need to make sure that you're focusing in the right direction, that, and again, using it as a tool and not being afraid of it.
And that's why I think it links back to my point that I mentioned previously around globalization and just access. I mean, I had my first virtual assistant when I was 15 years old in high school. You know, they never met them, they didn't know me, and they were, doing a lot of administrative work. And I mean, that would have never happened, you know, when you were 15. But like that's the beauty of where the world's going in terms of, I'm telling young entrepreneurs, like, don't build local businesses, don't build domestic businesses. Look at it from a global standpoint and try and look at building overseas markets and relationships. And so maybe one or two, and we've got one question from Jesse. But before we get there, tell us a little bit more about, like, why do you believe KnowRoaming? People should use KnowRoaming compared to other suppliers. Like, what do you, besides from the obvious factors of customer service and being a good supplier, are there anything specifics that you feel like people should consider when choosing you guys?
So KnowRoaming has been in this space for 13 years. It's it's an innovator in this space and has built networks and connections in terms of unparalleled in terms of coverage and pricing and connectivity and speed. And on top of that, I mean, we've understand what a user journey needs to look like. What does a user need to be able to understand what packages to buy, or is it global, regional, how to manage that package, how to top up that package, and obviously with 24/7 support. And like everyone else saying, we're also using AI for our support. We have physical people at the background, but there's AI in terms of first tier support, so we can try to resolve sooner. But from our side, we understand what customers are looking for, and we know how to customize a package that meets those needs, and then deliver a solution that provides high quality speed at really the most competitive pricing with the best support available. And that's what you want when you travel. You want to make sure that your connectivity, more importantly than anything else, that your connectivity is reliable, and that if you have any issues, the problems are resolved quickly. And again, even at the most competitive price. So those are to provide the best customer experience overall.
Brilliant. So let's quickly go to Jesse's question. She says, "Hey Mark, I'm keen to." Let me just quickly show it to you as well, so you can have a. There you go. "Hey Mark, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on eSIMs in the domestic market. Do you see these becoming de facto in SA, or is cost hardware requirements needing to change for widespread adoption?"
Listen, there definitely will be eSIMs will eventually become across the whole domestic market as well. It is a big factor. There's two factors that are at issue now. One is obviously the cost of the hardware. eSIM is basically available in mainly the high-end devices. They are slowly going down to the low-end devices too. So that's a matter of time. And then the next thing is that the mobile operators themselves need to be able to fully support customers moving between providers using eSIMs, which they obviously hesitant to do. They're a big part of their business is basically having those customers and long-term revenue from those customers. But what you're seeing is a lot of MVNOs coming out, and those MVNOs they're all digital. They don't have physical stores. They don't have footprints. So they're going to basically be driving customer acquisitions through eSIMs. The process of porting has become a lot simpler, so that can be done relatively quickly. And I think you'll see a lot of challenges coming into the market where they're providing a much more cost-effective option because it's a pure digital play as opposed to physical and retail. And they're providing a better customer experience in terms of onboarding the customer, supporting the customer through those digital channels, and then delivering a digital SIM card into the device. So, and even a final thing could be is you could have one digital SIM card that roams across all multiple networks, which gives you better coverage. I myself have a MTM SIM card in my physical SIM card in my device, but especially during load shedding when there was periods of maybe MTN was not available in certain areas, I could just turn on my Vodacom SIM card and get access on my Vodacom. So even today, using KnowRoaming, you can have even in your primary country, you could have a backup solution in your device. It's better switch to another network.
Brilliant. So one of the things I'm like, what's really unique about you is how many businesses you've been able to start and grow and exit. Most people get really lucky in life if they get one right, but you've got so many. I'm interested to know, like, what does your research process look like in terms of identifying these businesses to step into, and what are some of the factors? Like, are you looking at growth on growth? Are you looking at how big the market is? Are you looking at, like, what are some of the factors that make you choose to buy a business, to go into a certain market?
Yeah, I mean, so when I first started, I was looking for an opportunity to get into something. I was always passionate about technology, and I thought technology had a major role to play in my generation. And funny enough, I actually first got involved in an outdoor advertising business, which was totally not what I was looking to do, but just the opportunity came across my door, and I landed up building a very innovative outdoor advertising business in South Africa and exiting that business to Primedia, which was fulfilling, and it was exciting, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And then I landed up, because I'd been in outdoor advertising, the next thing I got into was signage and printing, which also was a very exciting journey. And we got to do the World Cup branding, which was a whole experience in itself. But then I realized what I'm really passionate about, and I realized when I was doing the outdoor signage and printing, we had a big factory of 10,000 square meters, 300-400 staff. It was a lot of overhead to grow the business, a lot of management. And technology is something that I found is very scalable, easy to scale, with servers and developers, and again, something that you can take internationally, and definitely an area of growth. So an industry where there's an ability to have an outsized trajectory than a traditional business. Not saying that traditional business is bad, but it's just something I was very passionate about, and having the ability to reach so many individuals. So I think when looking at new business opportunities, I think you always need to focus on where the puck is going and not where it is. Because if you focus where the puck is and where the revenue is right now, by the time if you put your attention there, your competitors have moved to where the opportunity is, and you're actually left in the dust. And to put your attention where you see the future revenue, as opposed to where the current revenue is. And those are opportunities, like currently with AI and blockchain. And it's just to keep, everything's about opportunistic, everything's about people, but I think a lot of it has to be about something that you feel very passionate about, that you can make a difference in terms of deploying and implementing and affecting lives in a positive manner. And that gives you a tremendous amount of gratitude or gratification for that.
And then what you also mentioned before was how you've bootstrapped these businesses, which is even more impressive to do. As like a young entrepreneur is listening to this and they're wanting to start their first or second business, from my understanding, from my being in the space, like a lot of the scalable business are quite capital intensive in the beginning, or require a good foundation of relationships and being in the space. Like, how do you navigate that when building out tech, or like did you guys just use your own money, you and Rafi, or like where did it come from, the initial stage, initial 6 months, 12 months, 24 months?
Yeah, so like I said, we've I wish I would. We have always bootstrapped. We've really basically built businesses from the ground up, using our own resources on the back of the money we're generating, and maybe been a bit taking things slowly, and maybe built a stronger base. But my advice, obviously, now is that, and when I speak to people, is that, it's a great way to build a business. It's a great way to learn. It takes time, much harder. But in the end of the day, if I would have maybe taken or tried to access more capital to grow the business on a more risky basis, I think believing that backing myself, we were going to achieve the desired results. Like, my advice now is to founders, if they believe they can achieve something, and accessing capital will help you to achieve that goal faster by scaling up with resources and people. Obviously, I think a lot of tech companies have become very bloated and just raised big amounts and hired lots of people, and actually became inefficient. So we have been very efficient, but if you can raise capital, Bill, and be efficient in how you deploy it and how you grow the business, and scale fast on the back of that, I would highly recommend that people do that. But just don't never look at capital as free. It shouldn't be free, and you shouldn't be frivolous, and you should always be mindful of spending it in the most conservative and efficient manner, so that you can actually really drive and grow the business to the heights you'd like to achieve.
Amazing. And then final question. There's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the future of South Africa. When I look at you, from now on, I'm going to be using you as an example of someone who's successful and who's got assets in the country, who's building from South Africa. A lot of people telling me, Mark, you've got such an opportunity to go to the US or London. If only you went, you would, be making so much money or more successful or making a bigger impact. Like, what is your counter argument to that conversation around, why are you still in South Africa?
Listen, I think the grass is always greener on the other side. I think that maybe if I would have gone to the US, I could have built a much bigger business in the tech business, and maybe I wouldn't have it. And sometimes being based in South Africa, we always like to say it's much easier to make. We were saying 20 rand to the dollar. Now it's 17 rand to the dollar than to make $1. Much easier to make 20 rand than $1.
Why do you believe that, Mark? Because people say that that's not true. Why do you believe that?
It's sometimes being, I think being there makes it easier. But also, like, you're going to the US, it's not your, it's not the lay of the land. I mean, it's not. You never know what could happen. You've got to, be grateful with a lot in life where you've been. But yeah, I mean, I always wonder if I would have gone. And I did have opportunities to go overseas, and I did turn them down. And I sometimes wonder if life would have been different. But I'm very happy and very grateful for the life I have in South Africa. I mean, it's an amazing country to live in. I mean, yes, it's got its political uncertainty, but so does the States now, so does the UK, so does Europe. Everywhere's got political uncertainty, and I'm actually very positive about South Africa at the moment. I think we really are. I think we've had a very tough 10 years. I mean, we had an incredible build up to the World Cup. I was involved in the World Cup with the branding, and it was really one of the most exciting times in my career. And I think actually for the next 10, 20 years, South Africa really has incredible opportunities to be an amazing place to basically work with. The South Africans themselves are incredible people. We have incredible work ethic. We can build businesses from South Africa that can go internationally, and we can have an incredible lifestyle being here. And we just got to be positive and focus on achieving our goals, wherever we are. I mean, I think it's a good time to be in South Africa, and I'm very excited about the future here.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and congratulations on all your success. And thank you for choosing to stay in South Africa and to create an incredible company. And I have put, if anyone's interested in checking out KnowRoaming, it's just knowroaming.com. I did post it in the comment section. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the KnowRoaming team. And Mark, do you have any final? You look like you've got something to say there.
Yeah, one last thing I actually just like to touch on is that I think one opportunity South Africa really has is that we used mobile to basically leapfrog communication and payments in South Africa and Africa. And then obviously when smartphones came out, we started to fall behind in terms of being able to offer high end and more informative apps. But I think we're now moving into an opportunity where smartphones are starting to become very affordable. In fact, in one of our businesses, Airvantage, we actually finance smartphones for end users. And people with a smartphone are going to be able to access incredible information and content and education. And we really maybe still in a position where if we use a smartphone correctly to educate South Africans, and I'm involved in a nonprofit with a very close friend of mine, Terry Blatcher, where we've got a joint venture with the Department of Education. We've launched, we actually manage the Department of Education's WhatsApp channel called the Teacher Connect channel. And we've got over 1 million registered users on that channel. And now we're working on ways, it's actually mainly teachers. So we've onboarded all the teachers. And now we're working on ways to basically upskill those teachers and improve those teachers through incentives. And one of the incentives could be actually providing them with a handset. And then we're going to drive that down to the users and potentially the parents. But the impact we could have and the change we could make in South Africa could be incredible. I went actually this week to visit my friend Taddy, who I'm involved in this project. He's got a university in town. He's a worldwide expert in education, and he has put 20,000 people through university for free in his university in town from the most toughest of backgrounds and circumstances. And I'll arrange to take you there for breakfast. And his vision is to turn Johannesburg CBD to an education town. He's just been donated more buildings from Anglo America, and he's hoping to have 5,000 students by in the next couple of years. And he wants to have 100,000 students in Johannesburg CBD. He's building a whole security force. He's really got an ambition to be able to change Johannesburg and South Africa, and he's most probably one of the people that can achieve it. Now, that type of impact, to have the opportunity to have that type of impact is incredible. And as South Africans, we should all be grateful for people like that and try to find, be positive and actually contribute to the vision of turning South Africa into, back to the days of us being considered one of the top countries globally. I mean, we were. If you look back in the days, South Africa, that used to be $2 to a rand.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And so for people who are wanting to research or connect with Taddy Blatcher, the institution is called Maurashi Institute, and you can just find it online. And I definitely have already been for breakfast, and it's amazing to just see the impact. And I think, Mark, just to summarize now what you've said, is it's about collaboration. And I think that's what the US does really, really well, is in order to get a bigger pie, they're willing to share along the journey with someone else. And I just find that South Africans in general are very competitive and are not open to collaboration. So yeah, thank you for collaborating with Taddy. Thank you for collaborating with me. It's guys like Shane and Eri Fabian that you guys are going to lead that forefront and support the next generation. So yeah, thank you for your time. And for those who either want to feature on the show or connect with me, you're welcome to email me at marco@genlink.ia. This is the Gen Z 360 show. And yeah, thanks for everyone for joining.
Thanks, Marco.